Perfect. Open up Higurashi. I'm calling it. There's got to be only 4 to 6 more Higurashi streams in total. That's my guess. But I'm calling it. In total. I don't just mean this arc. I mean in total. In before there's like 10 more. 10 more. Or more. Yeah. Happy Higurashi Tuesday to all who celebrate. I forgot to get myself my water. So after about a half hour reading or something, I might have to go get some water. Bad idea on my part, but I'm too lazy to get up at the exact moment. So yeah, we're going to continue Kotohogushi. The last section we read was heavy. Is that the term I'd give it? Probably. Heavy. It was, I almost said Rika. It was Hanyu, the Hanyu we know of in this arc, learning that she is pregnant, and the immediate joy of that. And then the immediate fear and realization in her mind that having a child that she views as a half, half her, half, regular man, basically a half-blood, the exact thing she had previously is on a mission and personal mission to eliminate those half-blooded demon people. So she's like, there's no way this child of ours could have like a normal life. And I can't bring this child into the world because I can't let them, experience that. Some part of her drawing upon her own, life experience, but also her being like, well, like I said, she's like, I commit my life to basically, prior to this, before I settled down here, I basically committed my life to hunting these half-blooded demon people. So, yeah, she was like, it got heavy because she was like, basically, the analogy of like, I'm going to, I'm gonna abort this baby, this pregnancy, wasn't expecting that I'd boot into my Higurashi story. That's the type of thing we'd be getting, Crazy. Shino put her lips on the small dish and tilted it. I watched on nervously for a moment. Sorry, adjusting audio here. How is it? The air in the kitchen felt strained. A cold and quiet presence hung over the room like the surface of a lake without any waves. I was waiting for Shino to pass her judgment like a prisoner on trial. And as time continued passing after my question, my doubt turned to anxiety. And just as my anxiety was beginning to turn into fear... Hanyu? Shino finally opened her mouth and... Yeah, I think it's good. Huh? My jaw dropped for a moment as I struggled to process what I just heard, but my bewilderment quickly turned into heartfelt joy. That was the first passing grade I've ever received from Shino. Really? Yes, this is perfect. I could probably say that it's delicious, not merely edible as it's been up until now. Shino gave me a thumbs up as she said that. It wasn't a certification just for matching her tastes. It was a sign that I'd passed as a wife, a human wife of this world. Finally, I finally made it this far. This is the fruit of my refusal to be afraid of failure. And above all else, the power of my love for Riku.
まあ確かにそうかもしれないけど
Well, I mean, maybe you're right, but
毎回味を見て数多くの失敗に立ち会って
I'd also like you to remember from time to time how I taste tested each one, encountered many failures.
時にはなんじゃこりゃってな超度級の毒味に地獄を見てきた私のこともたまには思い出してほしいななんて
And sometimes consumed poison so utterly vile I was convinced it had come from the cauldron of hell itself. Teehee.
そもそも私は女です
That's right. In the first place, I'm a woman.
つまり適正で言えば男の陸よりも家事に即した感性を持っているのは自明の理で自然の摂理
In other words, it is a self-evident truth that my sensitivities are better adapted for housework than a man like Riku, my natural providence.
思えば夫に料理の腕で負けているということで自分自身の至らなさに恥を感じどれだけ長い間剣道将来を心に誓ってきたことか
In hindsight, I felt so ashamed at how my husband was better at cooking than me. Just how long did I vow to redouble my efforts?
しかしそんな屈辱の日々はもうここでさよならです
But now I say farewell to those humiliating days.
そしてこんにちは私の栄光の未来よ
And hello to my glorious future!
ちょっと羽生
Hanyu? Yeah. Oh, right on time. Sorry about that. I swear I was eating. I literally 15 minutes ago. I wasn't feeling. It's only when I come to the desk to stream. Crazy. Hanyu?
おーい帰ってこ
Hey, come back.
ーいなんてね
Or not. Hee hee.
冗談ですよ
I'm just joking.
シノには本当にこの一生涯では返しきれないほどの感謝をしているのですから
I can never repay you enough for all that you've done for me.
あなただんだんリクに似てきたわね
You're becoming more and more like Riku, huh? Quite some time had passed since the day I discovered my pregnancy. It would only be a few months until the anniversary of that summer day arrived. My stomach had grown considerably bigger as a sign the baby was growing healthy. Thanks to that, I felt a lot heavier than I used to, and it was a challenge just to take a single step.
そういえばリクは
Speaking of which, where is Riku?
ああ境内の奥で草刈りをしています
He's out mowing the grass by the shrine.
あんまりうるさいので追い出しました
He was being such a nag that I threw him out. After all, if I so much as took a single step outside these days, he'd come running to me like it was the end of the world.
気をつけてください、羽生。
Please be careful, Hanyu.
何か用なら私がやります。
If you need something, I'll handle it.
ダメです。家の中でおとなしくしていてください。
Stop. Please stay still in the house.
転んだりしたらどうするのですか。
What would happen if you tripped? Nag, nag, nag is all he does. He was being so overprotective of me that it made me wonder if he'd forgotten just what I was. But by no means did I hate his consideration. If anything, it warmed my heart greatly and made me happy. I gently rubbed my stomach and felt it. I was self-conscious of the fact that our child was growing on the other side of this thin wall. Lately, it had been kicking from time to time. Every single time made me aware of how a new life was thriving within me, filling my heart with so much joy. It wouldn't be too long until the due date, seeing the child arrive while the cherry blossoms were still in bloom.
いい匂いですね。
What a lovely smell.
あリク
Oh, Riku.
お疲れ様
Good work. Riku opened the kitchen's back door while wiping his sweat with a towel. I was just about to call to him anyway, so this was perfect timing.
よかったわねリク
Isn't this great, Riku?
今日はごちそうになりそうよ
Looks like you're in for a feast today.
そうなんですか。
Wait, is that true?
いやーよかった。
Whew, that's good to know.
でも私は羽生の作る料理ならどんなものでも平気ですからね。
But I'm fine with anything Hanyu cooks, you know.
信用していませんねあなたは
You don't believe it, do you? Just you watch. I swear I'll give you the shock of your life. I told myself that, then I forced Riku out of the kitchen and went to work on the ingredients in front of me. Lunch today was the happiest one of my life. Riku, who I thought was a light eater up until now, consumed my meal with gusto. This is delicious!
素晴らしいです。いや、本当に。
It's wonderful. Seriously.
そうですか?
Do you really think so?
はい。
Yes.
はあ、なんて私は幸せ者なんでしょう。
Ah, what a lucky man I am.
羽生の料理なら何でも最高と思ってまいりましたが、これほどまでの高みと深みを味わえるとは。
I thought anything was great as long as it was cooked by you, but to think you'd achieve such heights, such depth, such flavor.
天よ、地よ、そして全世界の神を仏よ。
Oh heaven, oh earth, and all gods in creation.
私は今、あなた方に心から感謝します。
In this moment, I'm grateful to you from the bottom of my heart.
ありがとう。
Thank you!
うるさい。
Ah, shut up.
食事の時は静かにしなさい。
Keep quiet during a meal.
子供かあなたは。
What are you, a child? It's from that reaction I realized that Riku had been really forcing himself to eat my crappy cooking up until now, and honestly, my heart stung. Even so, when I saw Riku looking so delighted to the extent it exasperated Shino, I was beyond happy.
私は本当に幸せ者です。
I really am a lucky man.
もうこのまま死んでもいい。
I wouldn't care if I died right now.
あ、やっぱり嫌です。
Wait, I take that back.
せめてこの村が滅ぶまでは生きていたい。
At least let me live until this village is destroyed.
縁起でもないこと言うな。
Don't jinx it.
もう大げさですよ、リク。
Sheesh, taking this too far, Riku.
やっぱり昼食ご一緒は遠慮しておけばよかったな。
I knew I should have turned down lunch with you two.
空気だけでお腹いっぱいよ。
The atmosphere alone is making me full. That's right. I'll get better and better and make more delicious meals for Riku. And for our soon-to-be born child too, of course. Then we'll be a loving family that'll make every meal a lively one. Always. As many days possible for Riku and my child. God, the way these last couple of sentences have displayed, it makes it seem like something bad is going to happen to Riku, the child, Hanyu, or a combination of all of them. Can't wait. Can't wait. The early blooming cherry blossoms, dyed by the setting sun, rustled as the wind toyed with them. The blossoming flowers would likely be in full bloom soon as well, and soon the chilly air will surely be replaced with warm, comfortable air. Enjoying the changing of the seasons. What a natural thing to do. Right now, changing of the seasons. It's a good Two-Door Cinema Club song. Right now, I deeply treasured all the things I didn't know before meeting Riku.
ありがとう、リク、シノ。
Riku, Shino, thank you.
あなたたちがいなければ、きっと今の私はいないはずです。
Her pregnancy isn't showing in her sprite. I want a refund. Unrealistic. Immersion breaking. I'm sure I would not be who I am right now without both of you.
心からお礼を言わせてください。
Please let me offer my heartfelt gratitude.
今さら何？
What's this all about?
どうしたのよ。
Where did that come from?
私は本当に幸せ者です。
Truly, I'm a lucky person.
今までは誰かと共にあるなど、私は考えたこともありませんでした。
Up until now, I never thought I'd be with another.
羽生、
Hanyu. Riku gripped my left hand while Shino followed suit and gently wrapped her hands around my right.
私こそ感謝しています。
I'm the one who should be grateful.
あなたを人生の伴侶とできて、毎日がこれ以上ない幸福に満たされている。
I have you as my life partner, and you make each day unbelievably happy.
ありがとう、羽生。
Thank you, Hanyu.
もう水臭いな。
Come on, don't be a stranger.
そういうのはいい子なし。
Some things just go without saying.
大好きな友達のために何かができる。それも本当に幸せなんだからね。
Because the fact that I could do something for my beloved friends makes me truly happy as well.
リク、シノ。
Riku, Shino. Riku was smiling while Shino was embarrassed. Their reactions were different, but the feelings they conveyed were the same, and gentle. I was also secretly grateful to the fate that allowed me to encounter these wonderful people.
それに、もうすぐ3人じゃなくて4人になるのよ。
Besides, soon enough it'll be the 4 of us, not 3, right?
あ、うちの旦那と子供たちも入れれば7人か。
Ah, but I guess that'd be 7 if you include my husband and sons.
賑やかになりそうですね。
Sounds like things are about to get lively.
そうだ。今度皆さんもここに連れてきては。
I know. Why don't you bring your whole family along next time?
2つの家族でお花見でもいたしましょう。
Us 2 families can watch the cherry blossoms together.
それもいいわね。
That sounds wonderful.
りょう、あ、うちのご亭主ね。
Ryu. Oh, that's my husband.
あいつも無口だから一見とっつきにくい感じだけど、実はお酒が大好きでね。
Anyway, he doesn't talk much, so he may seem difficult to approach, but he truly loves booze.
和也も庄司もわんぱく坊主で。
Sounds like a real winner. And Kazuya and Shoji are such a rambunctious pair. They were right. In just a few days, me and Riku's child would be here with us too. We'd have another person, and I was already so happy surrounded by such kind people. I was sure we'd be even happier. I gently placed my hands on my stomach as if to tell my beloved child that there were so many people who wanted to meet and spend time with it. Just then, my stomach throbbed with a stabbing pain.
どうしましたか、羽生。
Is something the matter, Hanyu?
痛い。
It hurts.
嘘、もしかして陣痛？
Huh? No way. Are you having contractions?
わかりません。
I don't know. Yeah. The pain throbbed through me again. I bent over, clutching at my stomach. Uh-oh. It felt as though my organs were being stabbed from the inside out.
羽生、大丈夫ですか？
Hanyu, are you alright? I could hear Riku calling out to me in concern, so I tried to respond, but all that escaped my throat was a scream. I can't speak. My body was racked with pain so intense that it wouldn't do what I told it to. It hurt to even adjust my pose slightly, so I stayed in the same position, simply enduring the pain with all my being.
まずいわね。本当に生まれそう。
This is bad. Looks like she really is having the baby.
リク、今に布団引いて、夜間にお湯沸かしてきて。
Riku, get a futon in the living room and boil some water in a kettle.
あ、いやでも羽生のそばを離れるわけには。
Wait, but I can't leave Hanyu like that.
慌てないの。
Don't panic.
お父さんなんでしょ？少しは落ち着いて行動なさい。
You're a father, aren't you? So calm yourself a little and get to it.
はい、わかりました。
Yes, understood.
布団にお湯ですね。今すぐ準備してきます。
A futon and hot water, yes. I'll get them ready right away.
羽生、
Hanyu?
羽生、聞こえてる？
Hanyu, can you hear me?
はい。
Yes. I nodded in response. That was the best I could manage right now.
今、リクが布団を用意してくれてるから、それが終わったら移動するわよ。
Riku's getting a futon right now, so once he's done, you'll have to move there.
無理です。こんな痛み、今まで感じたことのない。
I can't. I've never felt pain like this before.
大丈夫。痛みは割とすぐに引くから。
It's alright. Pain will fade relatively soon.
ほら、負けないで。
So don't give in.
シノ、
Shino!
頑張りなさい。
Hang in there.
お母さんになるんでしょ？
You're about to become a mother, aren't you? My hazy mind reacted to Shino's encouraging words. A mother. That's right, I had to hang in there. I looked down at my stomach, shaking with intense pain. The child was fighting a desperate battle of their own in there. To reach the outside world. To reach us. In that case, this sort of pain was nothing. I'll do it. I'll give birth to our healthy child. Nope.
子供の成長はどうだろうか。
How is the child's growth?
ええ、 順調です。
It's going very well.
とても元気に育っていますよ。
Your child is growing healthily.
そうか、それはよかった。
I see. That's great.
しかしリュウンオーク、
But you know, Ryunuk,
なんでしょう。
what is it?
何も言わないんだな。
You're not saying anything, huh?
質問の意図が理解できません。
I fail to understand the intent of your question.
どういう意味ですか、羽生。
What exactly do you mean, Hanyu? I swallowed the words I was about to say and pondered the meaning of her question a little. Was she simply seeking an explanation like always? Or...
正直、ここまでお前が私の出産に賛同してくれるとは思わなかった。
In all honesty, I never thought you'd be so supportive of me having a baby.
こう大きくなってはまともに活動できないゆえ、いざという時グリフィスに対抗することが難しくなる。
Since I can't move properly now that I've gotten so big, it'll be difficult to fight any Griffiths should the need arise.
グリフィスへの監視と対策を行うお前にとってはあまり望ましくないことじゃないのか。
You're in charge of Griffith's surveillance and countermeasures, so I figured this wouldn't be ideal for you.
羽生、あなたは一つ勘違いをしています。
Hanyu, you're mistaken about one thing.
勘違い？
About what?
私はリュウンオークです。
I am Ryunuk.
グリフィスに対する監視を行う以前に、リュウンのかつての故郷よりつながる門を司る存在であり、チリジリになったリュウンをつなげるのが私の役目。
My role to observe Griffiths is superseded by my role to control the gate that links to the Ryun's former homeworld, and to link the scattered Ryun.
故に私には多くの名が冠せられています。リュウンオークと。
Hence why I was given the name of Ryunuk, Brethren Linker.
ですから、各地に散ったリュウンだけでなく、新たなリュウンに連なるものの誕生を私は心より祝福いたします。
Therefore, I celebrate not just the Ryun scattered across the land, but the birth of new Ryun from the bottom of my heart.
そうか。ありがとう。
I see. Thanks.
それに、あなたの出産に反対しない理由がもう一つあります。
And there's one more reason why I'm not opposed to your pregnancy.
もう一つ？
Another reason.
なんだそれは。
What's that?
私は嬉しいのです。
I'm happy, Ryunuk,
あ
or
なたがそ
Hanyu.
んなにも感情豊かに毎日の幸せを生きる姿を見ることができて。
Happy that I can witness you living such a blissful life full of such emotions. I screamed, unable to bear the pain that was splitting my body in two. The intervals between contractions had gradually grown shorter. Half a day had already passed. The sun had long set, and dawn would be making its appearance soon enough.
羽生、
Hanyu?
頑張ってください。羽生。
Please hang in there, Hanyu. Riku called out to me while gripping my right hand, and I responded by gripping his hand back. I never thought giving birth would be this painful. I figured that while there would be some pain, I could take it. I'd fought countless battles as a Jidha up until now and suffered many injuries. Pain got in the way of battle, so in my many years of fighting, I tried learning all sorts of ways to dull the pain. However, my whole body felt like it was getting torn apart. The intense pain brought forth by that sensation couldn't be compared to wounds suffered on the battlefield. Internal and external pain were different to begin with, so they probably shouldn't be compared. But unlike the external pain I'd gotten used to, this internal pain I was experiencing for the first time was far too brutal. My vision flickered. I felt like I was going to pass out from the excruciating agony, but that pain snapped me back awake. After that repeated over and over, the pain grew even worse.
頑張って、羽生。もうちょっと。
Hang in there, Hanyu. Just a little more. Shino, who was serving as my midwife, shouted to encourage me. Riku, who had been holding my hand this whole time, cheered me on as well. They'd been with me ever since I went into labor, meaning they'd been doing this for about 12 hours. So, for their sake too, I couldn't give in. Almost there. Baby's almost here. Riku. Riku!
はい、ここにいますよ、羽生。
I love reading out loud a childbirth section. A little known fact about me. I find this very fun. Yes, I'm here. I'm right here, Hanyu.
手を握っていてください。
Please hold my hand.
もう握ってますよ。
Yes, I'm already holding it.
違う、もっと強く。
No, harder. Hold it tighter.
あ、はい。
Right. He's not holding tight enough. Riku gripped both of my hands tight. When I opened my nearly shut eyelids, I found Riku looking straight at me. His brow was furrowed with concern. It seemed his soft nature was on full display. When I saw his face, a mysterious sense of ease came over me. It's all right. Since I could see him so close, I'm sure there's nothing to worry about. I screamed my lungs out. I pushed with all my might. My nails dug into my palms and drew blood, but that pain was drowned out by even greater pain. My world went white. All sensations apart from pain disappeared. And then... Oh my god, baby screams. The long-awaited moment finally arrived.
やったよ、羽生。
You did it! You did it, Hanyu!
生まれたよ。
It's here! The baby's here! I finally heard Shino's voice. There was a sense of emptiness in my abdomen. The feeling that something that had been there up until now was gone. The immense pain that racked my body until a moment ago was now just a faint throb. The baby's cries echoed loudly through the house. Thank goodness. I managed to become a mother.
頑張りましたね、羽生。
You did amazing, Hanyu. Yes.
なんとかやり遂げました。
Somehow, I did it. I answered Riku while catching my breath. Our hands were still firmly clasped together.
羽生、リク、
Hanyu? Riku?
立派な女の子だよ。
It's a healthy girl.
女の子
Uh,
ですか。
a girl?
そう、
That's right.
ほら、抱いてあげて。
Go on. Hold her. I guess I'm a dumbass. For a second, I was like, oh, did they not know the sex of the baby before? Or the gender of the baby? And then I'm like, oh, wait, they don't have the technology. I don't know. There was some part of my brain where I was like, oh, they probably know it's like a girl or whatever first. Or already. Maybe like strange Ryunuke powers or something. Or Jiha powers. You could sense what's inside you. I don't know. I don't know what I was thinking there. Shino was all smiles as she held a promptly washed baby, her body wrapped in a cloth so she wouldn't get cold.
この子が私とリクの子供。
This baby is me and Riku's child. My heart nearly burst with joy. Driven by the urge to hold my baby right away, I forced my tired body to move and reached out towards Shino. However, my arms froze halfway there.
羽生、
Hanyu? Shino cocked her head in confusion. Riku was also watching on with confusion. My daughter was wailing in Shino's arms. I wanted to see her now, to hold her in my arms, to celebrate her birth with Riku. But what if? A grim possibility flashed through my head, and I violently shook my head in denial.
リク、
Riku?
どうしました？
What's the matter?
まだ体が動きませんか？
Can you not move yet?
怖い、
I'm scared.
羽生？
Hanyu?
怖いです。
I'm scared.
教えてください。
Please tell me.
その子に角はありますか？
Does the baby have horns? I couldn't help but ask. I was scared. So scared. Riku said it would be alright, that he'd protect me and our child. Knowing him, he was prepared to make good on his word and do anything for our daughter, even if it meant literally abandoning something. But in the end, that hadn't been enough to resolve any of my hesitations about the birth. The reason I'd once considered aborting the child was so that she and Riku wouldn't be ostracized by the village, so that no one would get hurt. That was all. Yeah. And that was why I was scared. If this child had horns, then she and I couldn't stay in the village.
言ったではありませんか。
I told you, didn't I?
たとえ角があろうとなかろうと、私が守ると。
I will protect both of you whether she has horns or not.
ですが、それではリク ありませんか。
But that would mean you getting hurt, wouldn't it?
それが私は嫌なんです。
I don't want that.
ありがとう。
Thank you.
あなたにそこまで思われて、私はやはり最高の幸せ者です。
I really am a lucky man to have such a caring wife.
からかわないでください。
Don't tease me, please.
いいから赤ちゃんはどうなのです。
Enough of that. What about the baby?
早く教えてください。
Please, hurry up and tell me. Once I voiced my anxiety, Riku slowly opened his mouth.
角はありません。
She has no horns. Huh?
赤ちゃんに角はないですよ。
The baby doesn't have horns on you. Riku's words slowly worked their way into my exhausted mind. No horns. This girl could live as a human without ever suffering as I did, and that meant neither Riku nor the baby nor anyone would have to get hurt.
ほら、羽生。
Here, Hanyu. Huh? Show me that baby. I want a baby spray. Shino's words brought me back to reality. She was stretching her hands out to me, holding a swaddled baby. I timidly, awkwardly, and anxiously took her, then carefully held her in my arms. She was crying, making her existence known to the world. She wailed so loudly it made me wonder where in that tiny body of hers she was producing such strength. When I shifted my gaze up from the baby's tear-stained face, I saw that there was nothing on her head. There was no need to worry anymore. The worst possible future, where I hurt Riku and the baby, had vanished. I know there's some deep-seated, like, she's made her point clear. She's like, I don't want the baby to have horns because I know that then she would be ostracized by the village and all this, and it would put her in danger and put Riku in danger, whatever. But you could make this a big parallel to, like, those parents that you sometimes hear where they're like, I really hope my kid isn't blank or else I'm going to be really upset or disappointed, or fill in the word with whatever. And it's like, you know, those people, and then how generally you're supposed to be like, well, if you aren't ready for a kid to be this or that or have this condition or whatever the case is, then they shouldn't be a parent at all. And then you look at this and you're like, Hanyu. Hanyu. I cried loud enough to match the baby. This child wouldn't have to suffer as I had. Riku wouldn't have to make an enemy of the village. No one would have to get hurt.
お疲れ様、羽生。
Good job, Hanyu.
そしてありがとう。
And thank you. Riku gently embraced me as I continued crying endlessly. His arms were heated with that human warmth I'd never felt until I met him. He gave me a place to belong when even I, being neither human nor Ryun, didn't know what I was. And now there was someone else who'd given me a place to belong. This child crying in my arms just like me. And so, I cried into Riku's chest for a while, then looked up.
もういいのですか？
Are you sure you're alright?
大丈夫です。
Yes, I'm fine. I slowly moved out of his grasp. My face must have looked horrible from the exhausting labor and the crying, but since that was the result of me doing my best for my daughter, I was perhaps even proud of that now.
そういえば、この子の名前はどうしましょうか？
Come to think of it, what should we do about her name?
名前ですか？
Her name?
あ、そうですね。
Right.
そこまで頭が回りませんでした。
We never did get around to considering that.
一体どんな名前にしましょうか？
What kind of name shall we go with? Just as I was considering leaving the thinking up to Riku like always. Huh? I looked up at the sudden glitter of light turned toward it. Riku and Shino quickly followed suit and saw it. It was the sunrise. The sun was poking in through a gap in the ridges. It banished the darkness and restored brilliance to the formerly colorless world.
羽生、リク、
Hanyu? Riku?
ほら見て。
Look at that! I looked in the direction Shino was indicating and saw... Wow! It was a blizzard. A dancing pink blizzard. The sun was shining on a cherry tree in full bloom, blossoming its full glory as it to celebrate the new life. Some of them had half bloomed by yesterday, but now they were all in full bloom as as if it were the height of spring. Just then, a single cherry blossom petal crossed my line of sight. A lightly dancing petal fluttered around us all and landed on the baby's forehead. Just then, I recalled my conversation with her. In addition to Riku and Shino, there was one more person who thought about me and made me happy. I'd made up my mind. That's right, this child's name would be...
Uka.
Uka. Uka. Uka Uka. Huh?
桜の花で桜花はどうでしょう?
If you take the characters for Cherry Blossom and Petal and put them together, you get the name Uka. What do you think about that? Riku looked toward the garden when he heard what I had to say. He gazed at the blooming cherry tree, then answered with a smile.
いい名前です。
It's a fine name.
はい。
Yes. Riku nodded with satisfaction on his face. This scenery blossomed in full glory the moment this child, Uka, was born. I could think of no other name more fitting for her. And what's more,
実は桜花という名には桜の花という以外にもう一つの意味があります。
actually, the name Uka has one additional meaning.
どんな意味があるの?
Oh? What kind of meaning?
教えて教えて。
Tell me. Shino leaned forward and asked. I chuckled when I saw her rejoicing as if this were all happening to her.
私の国の言葉に桜花という単語があるのです。
My original language has a word called Oka.
へえ、すごいね。
Oh, that's amazing!
違う国でも同じ発音の言葉があるなんて。
So, even though we're all from different countries, you still have a word with the same pronunciation?
どういう意味なの?
What does it mean?
桜花の意味はつなげるもの。
Oka means one who links. I remember the name of my partner, Ryunuk. Ok means link in Runish. Its conjugation is Oka.
つなげるものですか。
One who
素敵ですね。
links, huh? I like it.
最高にいいよそれ。
That's great. How wonderful that is.
素敵な名前でよかったね。桜花ちゃん。
Aren't you glad you got such a lovely name, Uka-chan? Shino excitedly poked Oka's squishy cheek. Oka. The one who links Riku and I. The one who links Shino and I. And, if possible, I hope she can one day link humans and Ryun. I nuzzled my cheek against Uka's and entrusted my dream to her. Oh, thank God. I need to go get some water and take, like, some allergy medicine or something. I'm struggling here. I'm struggling reading Higurashi Childbirth. Okay. Give me just, like, 2 minutes or a couple minutes. I'm gonna go take care of that. I'll be right back. All right. Hopefully that helps. Okay. So what is it saying? Hanyu, we have the baby. Hanyu says, Runuk.
この子が桜花だ。
This child is Uka.
見えるか？
Can you see her?
ええ、よく見えます。
Yes, clearly.
あなたにとても似て、瞳がとても澄んでいますね。
She looks a lot like you. Her eyes are so clear. It was a few days later. Once I'd finally regained enough strength to walk, I took Uka and headed for Onigifuji. There was only one reason for that, to show Rinuk my daughter in person. Of course, it was possible to show her through the charged crystal, and I'd already done just that. But since we spent so many years as a peerless pair, I felt she deserved better. So I asked to bring Uka into Rinuk as well. Yeah, though I knew it was an unreasonable request.
すまないな、異物を中に入れて。
I'm sorry for bringing in a foreign body.
異物などではありませんよ、羽生。
She is no foreign body, Hanyu.
少なくとも竜の血を引く以上、同調の処理にそれほどの支障はありません。
So long as she has even the slightest of rune blood, she's hardly an impediment on the synchronization's processing.
そうか。
I see.
それに、
And besides, Rinuk hesitated for a moment, then informed me of a certain truth.
もうこれがおそらく最後になるでしょう。
This will likely be the last time.
ですから機能が正常である間に、あなた以外の竜を招き入れることができて、本当に良かった。
So I'm truly glad I could welcome another rune besides you, while I'm still functioning normally. Huh?
私の活動限界がそろそろ近づいてきました。
It will not be long before I reach my operational limit.
長らくあなたの支援を行ってきましたが、残念ながらお別れの時が来たようです。
I've supported you for many years now, but unfortunately, it would seem this is farewell.
そんな。
No! I was shocked, but there was also a part of me who'd been prepared for this day to come eventually. The lionesses across land were already deteriorating and shutting down one after another, which meant that Rinuk would be no exception.
寂しくなるな。
I'll miss you.
結局お前には主らしいことなど何もできなかった。
In the end, I couldn't do anything to reward you.
むしろ助けられ、教えられることばかりで。
Instead, you're the one.
許してくれ。
Instead, you're the one who is always helping and teaching me. Forgive me.
そんなことはありませんよ、羽生。
That is not true, Hanyu.
いえ、あえて最後にこう呼ばせてください。
No. Since this is the last time, please allow me to call you this.
ヤソムール・ジェダ。
Yosumu Jida. Huh? That voice, that timbre. I'd heard it before. No way. Rinuk, you're... No, you are...
お察しの通りです。
It is just as you have surmised.
私はあなたの母、先代のヤソムール・ジェダの人格の一部を引き継いだもの。
I inherited a portion of the personality of the former Yosumu Jida, your mother.
故にあなたを守り、時にはあなたを諭して、その道を互えぬように導くことを役目としておりました。
Thus, it was my role to protect you, admonish you on occasion, and guide you down the right path. Come to think of it, I'd heard about this from the elders. That there were occasionally Putas who could become an astral body upon death and retain their consciousness and personality. That while they are fated to vanish eventually, they can temporarily impose their will on the outside world by parasitizing, off of other creatures and similar things. Which meant that my mother had been dwelling in the pseudo-life form that this Linos for a while after her death. That part of her personality had been implanted on Ryunuk, and she'd been watching over me all this time without revealing her true identity, all the while I believed I was all alone. Question mark.
そんな、だったらなぜ。
No way. Then why?
正体を黙っていたことはお詫びします。
I apologize for keeping quiet about my identity.
ですが、これはあなたの母君の指示でした。
But this was a directive from your mother.
あなたの意識を私一人に向けさせないため。
In order to keep your consciousness from being solely directed at me.
私の正体を知れば、きっとあなたはもっと私を頼り、そしてそれ以外のものに目を向けようとはしなかったでしょうから。
Had you known my true identity, you would surely have relied on me more and made no effort to take awareness of anything else. Sorry, it's hard to read when I can barely breathe at the moment. She was right. Since I believed her to have no relation to me, I didn't unilaterally depend on her. No matter how much I was reasonably admonished and warned, I was able to keep myself from blindly accepting them, able to constantly believe in my will and convictions, and able to keep standing tall on my own 2 feet.
すまない。
Sorry.
いえ、すみません、母様。
No. Please forgive me, Mother.
私はずっと。
Mother, I never...
いいのです、ヤソムール。
It is all right, Yosumu.
あなたは本当に今までよく頑張った。
You truly have worked so hard up until now.
私たちはあなたのことを心から誇りに思います。
We are proud of you from the bottom of our hearts.
だからこそ、これからは自分のための幸せを大事に思って生きていてもらいたいのです。
Which is why we want you to keep living on, while treasuring your own happiness.
はい。はい。
Yes, I will. I nodded over and over as I felt something hot stream down my cheeks. Just then, my sword was suddenly enveloped in light and became a dazzling sphere. Then it gently floated in front of me before flying off towards the collection of lights shining in the distance, and eventually disappeared into them.
この剣も長らく私の分身としてあなたの力となってきましたが、
This sword has long aided you as an extension of myself,
もう今のあなたには必要のないものでしょう。
but you likely no longer need it as you are now.
ですから返していただきますね。
Therefore, I've taken it back.
はい。
Yes. I was a little sad to feel my sheath growing light. But even so, that was a necessary ritual for me to cut ties with the Ryun and live as a human of this world. But above all else, it was proof that I'd found a reason for living beyond the way of the sword.
このライノスは私が機能を停止した後も一部の機能を残しています。
After I cease operations, part of the Linos function will remain.
この剣もまた必要とあればあなたの呼び出しに応じるでしょう。
Should you ever need it, the sword will respond to your summons.
でもできればそんな事態が永遠に来ないことを私は祈っています。
But if possible, I pray that it'll never come to that. It never comes to that. Oh, you know that it's gonna come to that then, the way this is being portrayed.
母様。
Mother,
もうこれで思い残すことはありません。
now I've no further regrets.
ヤソムール、いえ、羽生、
Yes, Samuel. No, Hanyu.
どうか幸せに。
Please, be happy.
待ってください、母様。
Please wait, Mother! I frantically called out to her when I sensed that voice fading. Not yet. There was one thing I needed to tell her. As a symbol of my gratitude.
あなた様のお名前、実はリクが考えてくれたのです。
The truth is, Riku thought of a name for you,
私の名前と同じように。
much like he did for me.
最後になって申し訳ありませんが、聞いてくださいますか。
I apologize for doing this at our final meeting, but would you please hear it?
はい。
Of course.
竜王。
Ryu.
それが
There's a lot of vowels
私の
there.
友柄。そ
Holy.
して母様の名です。
That is the name of my comrade and mother.
良い名でしょう。
It's a good name, isn't it?
ええ、素敵です。
Yes, it's wonderful.
ありがとう、羽生。いつまでも幸せに。お元気で。
Thank you, Hanyu. I pray for your eternal happiness and health. Eventually, we returned to the banks of Onikafuchi. The sun had already set and had gotten dark. All that remained were the cries of crickets in the distance.
母様。
Mother. I held Ouka tightly in my arms and sobbed. Ouka looked up at me with a gentle, comforting expression. I wasn't alone. I thought I was all alone up until I met Riku, but I'd always been protected by kindness so vast and gentle. I was happy, as well as embarrassed, by the old me who had struggled all by herself to live as a Ryun in Jita and suffered all on her own accord. Humans can't live alone. That providence extends to Ryun as well. So, I would pass on these lessons and feelings to my daughter, Ouka. You're not alone. There are always people there for you who rejoice and celebrate your existence. People who believe you are irreplaceable and innocently wish for your happiness. So, Don't lose yourself. Don't doubt yourself. Because there are at least two who are overjoyed that you exist. I gently brushed aside Uga's bangs as I suddenly looked up at the sky. I was happy. Happier than anyone else in the world in this moment. And then, those happy days abruptly came to an end. Oh no! Dun dun dun! So dramatic. Jesus. Oh god, something bad's gonna happen. Oh shit, place your bets now! One of the roads leading into Yagochi was unused by the villagers. Since it was a high-quality quarry, Yagochi was frequented by stonemasons. However, they would always go out of their way to take a detour there, no matter how much of a hurry they were in. As proof of this, the ground that used to be the road bordered by a wayside shrine at the entrance was now overgrown with weeds. Despite the fact that they both must have been paved around the same time, they had now clearly been divided into light and darkness. Do not set foot down this path. Those ink letters on the worn-out roadside sign had been withered by the elements and were barely visible at this point. Nevertheless, the curse that lay down this road was so feared that even village children brimming with curiosity still faithfully abided by that warning. Onikafuchi. That was what the villagers called the swamp hidden behind thick, overgrown grass. It was said that there was a hole in the swamp that links to another dimension connected to hell, and that demons would occasionally crawl out of there to attack and kidnap villagers. What an absurd story. I heaved an exasperated sigh, then stepped over the rope lined with holy paper that cordoned off the entrance of the road to keep people away. The dewy grass that covered the ground was difficult to tread with sandals. Indeed, the rumor started with a cruelly mangled corpse had been found at the swamp. When a cruelly mangled corpse had been found at the swamp, likely the victim of a beast or bandit. Thoughtless remarks being spread turned that into a local superstition and was established as if it were the truth. All it would have taken was a little suspicion or investigation to reveal that the incident was the work of natural forces, but unfortunately no one had attempted to take the first step, likely induced by their insular climate and disposition. Although, I guess that makes things convenient for me right now. I muttered that to myself as I tugged at the cloak that concealed me from head to toe, and pulled it off. I'd come this way by hiding myself in the shadows under the cover of evening, but now that I'd made it this far, it seemed I wouldn't be encountering anyone, fortunately. The settlement vanished from view after I walked for a while. Then I got off the road and cut across a ruined field. Afterwards, I went down a slope by a dilapidated house and reached the swamp. It truly had been a long time since I'd been here. I approached the swamp while making my way through the thick stench of grass. Ever since Ryu had ceased functioning, the purification system had also gone offline, causing sediment to build up in the swamp and turn the water muddy. And sluggish ripples spread across the now ugly dark surface of the water every time the wind blew. The entrance to hell. It's true that if you fell in here, there'd be no coming back. I took off the hood covering my head and kneeled before leaning forward and gazing into the swamp. There, I faintly saw the familiar reflection of my face, hair, and horns. I could see them clearly even though my crumpled and disheveled hair. I gently touched them as I unconsciously bit my lip at the displeasure and pain welling in my heart. These horns proved that I was me. They were a symbol of loathsome fetters that reminded me of how we were sent to this world in order to fulfill our duty in this distant homeland. If it weren't for these, see, I get tripped up on the words because this doesn't make sense. They added 2 eyes. If I didn't have these, I could close my eyes, shut my ears, and pretend none of it had ever happened to begin with. I don't think I could stress just how, like, when I get into, like, I attempt to get into, like, a reading flow state, and I'm reading, like, just a lot of text over and over, especially in these, like, big, like, non-voiced sections. Like, it's so, like, a little, like, grammar mistake or something, or a typo, like, really does, like, trip me up so easily. I'm, like, hypersensitive to the typos. So it says, if I didn't have these, I could close my eyes, shut my ears, and pretend that none of it ever happened to begin with. Then I could attain a gentle, lovely, and peaceful life that I could devote myself to. I'd be lying if I said I wouldn't have any regrets. There had still been some meager happiness to be found amidst all that.
それでも
But even so, I chose this way. That was an undeniable fact, as well as a sign of my unwavering will.
これで終わる
This is it.
ここで終わらせる
I'll put an end to it now. I closed my eyes and took a quiet breath. Next, I opened my eyes in tandem with that breath, the muttered words from the former rune homeworld as I gently stroked the surface of the swamp. At that moment, there was a blinding flash of light, and the surface of the water split in two. A sword-stained dark brown rose from the bottom of the darkness in that gap, and slowly settled into my hand.
このライノスは私が機能を停止した後も一部の機能を残しています。
After I cease operations, part of the Linos function will remain.
この剣もまた必要とあればあなたの呼び出しに応じるでしょう。
Should you ever need it, this sword will respond to your summons.
でもできればそんな事態が永遠に来ないことを私は祈っています。
But if possible, I pray that it never comes to that.
竜王
Ryu?
いえ母様
No. Mother.
やはりあなたの助けがいるようです
It would seem I truly am in need of your help. After cutting the mouth of the sheath to check its sharpness, I returned the blade to its scabbard with a comforting grinding sound, tied it at my hip, and looked up. The eastern skies were turning indigo, and the edges of the mountains were gradually dyed black. And when I looked to the west, I saw the exceptionally brilliant shine of a star not hidden by the deep vermilion dusk.
宵の明星
The evening star.
確かそんな名前だったかな
I believe that is what they call it. I smiled bitterly at an irrational sentimentality brought on by the star's light, as I noticed I was unconsciously grabbing something at my chest, and opened my hand. The red jewel on my necklace glittered. It must have fallen out when I bent over.
羽生には赤が似合いますから。
Red looks good on you, Hanyu. Those words played back in my head. His kind and gentle smile came to mind, then vanished. It all started a few days ago.
村を出る？
You're leaving the village. Though I knew it was imprudent, I couldn't help but chuckle at his predictable reaction. Riku and I were all alone in the living room after cleaning up dinner and putting the sleeping baby to bed. The hearth in the center of the room crackled as the firewood burned. Riku held boiling water and a chartula on the other side of the flickering flame as he stared at me in shock.
なぜです？
Why?
理由を説明してください。理由を。
Please, explain your reasons to me.
理由ですか
My reasons, you say?
それはあなたが一番よくわかっているはずですよ
You should know that better than anyone else, should you not? Huh?
村に出たそうですね
It seems one has appeared in the village.
鬼が
A demon, that is.
ええ、
Yes.
そう聞いています。
I've heard the same. Riku hung his head in resignation. It had happened 4 days ago. The corpse of a stonemason was found on the shore of Onigfuchi Swamp in the outskirts of the village, brutally torn limb from limb. He had gone missing while heading home from the Yagochi quarry dead drunk, and rumor had it he'd taken the forbidden road by mistake and ended up falling victim to the curse.
別に内緒にするつもりはなかったんです。
I wasn't trying to keep it a secret from you.
ただ話がどうにもあやふやで、もう少し確かめてからと思いましたので。
It's just that the details are still vague, so I was thinking of telling you once we knew more.
それを内緒というのでしょ
Is that not the definition of a secret?
すみません。
Sorry. Riku hung his head dejectedly. When I saw that, I felt I'd done enough and laid down my arms.
ごめんなさい言い過ぎました
No, I'm sorry. I went too far.
リクの気持ちは分かっています
I understand how you feel.
私に危ない橋を渡るなとそういうことですよね
You just didn't want me taking any risks, isn't that right?
利己的だと思ってくれて構いません。
Consider me selfish if you may.
ですが もうあなたは一人の身じゃないんです。
But it's no longer just yourself on the line here.
ここで鬼などと対峙して万一のことがあったら私は
If something were to happen to you when you faced off against a demon, then I would...
大丈夫
It's alright.
と言っても保証はないですね。
Or so I wish I could say, but there's no guarantee, is there?
鬼を狩るつもりが返り討ちにあったなんてこともかつては少なからずありました。
There have been more than a few cases of would-be demon hunters, ending up the hunted instead.
羽生
Hanyu!
ただここで行かなかったら
However, if I don't go,
確実に鬼は狩猟本能を発動させて人々に危害を加えるようになる。
the demon's hunting instincts will certainly be awakened, leading to casualties.
覚醒直後であればそれほど苦戦もしませんが、完全に融合してしまえば生半可なことでは倒すどころか傷だってつけるのが難しくなる。
It won't be that difficult to fight if it's right after the awakening, but once it's fully fused, it'll take considerable strength not just to defeat it, but even damage it. No matter how far I prodded, in the end, I was a woman. So long as I was physically inferior to men, timing and circumstances were essential for survival.
それは
But
しかし
still,
それが村を出ることとどう関係があるのですか？
what does that have to do with you leaving the village?
村では今噂があるそうですね。
It seems there are rumors floating around the village.
フルデ神社に住むよそ者の女が鬼の化身じゃないかと。
Rumors that the foreign woman living in Furude Shrine may be the avatar of a demon. Riku's eyes and mouth opened wide, and then he awkwardly looked away. He truly was such a poor liar.
でもそこが好きなんだけど。
But that's what I love about him. As I thought that to myself, the phrase love is blind came to mind, and I snorted. Perhaps Riku thought I was messing with him when he saw that, as he pounded the floor.
笑い事じゃないです、羽生。
This isn't funny, Hanyu.
それにそんな根も葉もない話、失礼にも程がある。
And there are limits how rude, unfounded rumors like that can be.
分かっています。
I know.
でも一昨日の様子だとみんな疑っているのは確かだと思います。
But I believe it is true that everyone suspected that the day before last.
聞いて
You
い
heard
たのですか？
you heard that?
ええ、
Yes.
運が良かったのか悪かったのか。
Whether for good or for ill. Flashback. 2 nights ago, I headed to the village assembly hall to bring something to Riku, only to hear him roaring in a rare display of anger from outside the door. It was then that I learned that there were rumors that I wore my hood to hide demon horns. Of course, I didn't remember anyone apart from Riku and Shino seeing that was under my hood. So it was nothing more than speculation, so Riku's excuse that it was used to hide grievous scars on my head was much more persuasive. Or rather, perhaps it was more accurate to say they were so overwhelmed by that normally docile Riku's rare display of harsh scolding that not even the elders could say anything back.
やめてください。
Please stop this!
勝手な憶測でそのようなことをおっしゃるとはどういう了見です？
What gall have you to speak such unfounded conjecture?
私の妻が人殺しのような無法を犯す人間だとあなた方は実は今まで思ってきたというのですか？
Are you all saying that you believe my wife to be a murderous criminal all this time?
別にそうだとは。
No, that's not.
それに、それは一部の者が噂しているだけで、我々は。
And besides, it's only a small number of people spreading those rumors.
だからといって言っていいことと悪いことの区別があるでしょう。
Still, there are things that should be said and things that should be left unsaid.
少なくとも私は鬼と称されるような非道の者を親友とした覚えはありません。
At the very least, I don't recall making friends with an inhuman woman that could be called a demon.
発言するのはあなた方の自由な権利ですが、彼女への無礼はすなわち陸、そして私への侮辱とみなしますよ。
You all have the right to speak, but consider a slight against her to be an insult against Riku and myself. Thankfully, Shino, who is standing in for the mayor, also interceded on my behalf and put in a good word for me. As a result, it was no coincidence that no further argument on the subject continued. Even so, that didn't mean their suspicions were cleared. If the demon infestation continued, they would surely ask me to prove it. And once my horns were revealed, no amount of covering from Riku and Shino would be able to clear their suspicions.
だからといって羽生が出ていく必要はありません。
Still, there's no need for you to go.
私がもう一度必ずみんなを説得します。
I swear I'll persuade everyone again.
リク、
Riku.
村人だって普段のあなたを知っているのだからきっと分かってくれるはずです。
Even the villagers know that you're normally like, so I'm sure they'll understand.
だから羽生、私を信じて
So,
考え直してください。
Hanyu, please, trust me and can reconsider.
シノさんもきっと力になってくれます。
Shino-san will surely help us well. Naturally, I've never doubted Riku and Shino, even once. Even so,
ありがと
thank you.
う。でもリク、
But Riku,
あの子は
why am I having trouble
オーカ
saying
はどう
Riku
でしょう
now?
か。
What about Uka, our daughter? Huh?
子供は無垢だから残酷ですよ。
Children are pure, and therefore cruel. Just as Riku said, perhaps the adults would accept it, even if they wouldn't be fully satisfied. But what about the children? They would take their family's irresponsible gossiping as fact, and since their thoughts and empathy weren't fully developed, they would direct their harsh words not at me or Riku, but at someone more harmless and defenseless, like Uka, right? I had no idea what sort of treatment they'd put her through, but it was clear that it would prove an unnecessary obstacle to her healthy growth, and even though they were children, she would face obstacles that she couldn't avoid or resolve, even with adult intervention.
ですが
But
桜花には母親が必要です。
Uka needs her mother!
ええ、分かっています。
My chair's like extra squeaky the last couple of days. It's falling apart. I need a new chair. Yes, I know.
だから勘違いしないでリク。
So don't get the wrong idea, Riku.
私はそのために行くのです。
This is exactly why I'm going.
羽生
Hanyu.
一旦村を出なくては表だった鬼の捜索ができない。
I can't openly search for the demon without temporarily leaving the village.
ですから本当の意味でこの村から鬼を放逐したら私は帰ってきます。
So I'll return once I've truly rid the village of this demon.
それはいつですか？
How long will that take? I thought it over, ultimately settling on an answer that wasn't a lie, but still extremely optimistic.
すべてが終わったその翌日に
The day after I put an end to it all.
手間がかかるのは鬼を探し出すことですが、それも大して時間がかからないと思いますよ。
The search for the demon itself is the most time-consuming part, but I do not believe even that will be long.
きっと
I'm sure of it. I smiled as cheerfully as possible at Riku to reassure him. Even so, Riku remained silent. He kept taking an invisible teacup and setting it down to ease his nerves, and kept sighing as he considered my words.
なんだか昔とあべこべだな。
This is a complete reversal of the old days. I used to be the one who was quiet all the time. Riku would probably get mad if I said that, though. Even so, I believed it. I believed I more than understood how he felt, even if he didn't put it into words. Crackle. The mound of firewood in the hearth fell apart, and the fire spread to the ash below. The two of us would go to bed once the fire was completely out, but Riku threw in a log meant for tomorrow morning in there, and we silently watched as the fire soon roared back to life.
羽生
Hanyu. Huh? After a brief silence between the two of us, Riku suddenly broke that silence first.
約束してください。
Please, promise me
必ず帰ってくると。
that you'll be sure to come back. I was about to say I'd be fine without really thinking about it, but swallowed my words when I saw the uncharacteristically serious gaze in his eyes. Riku sidled up to me and firmly took my hand.
あなたには、いえ、今のあなたには帰る場所があります。
You. No, the person you become has a home to return to.
それだけは絶対にどんなことがあっても忘れないでください。
No matter what happens, please do not forget that under any circumstances, if nothing else.
リク、
Riku.
前々から気になっていたことです。
It has worried me for a long time now.
時々あなたはひどく儚い表情で遠い目をすることがある。
You get this rather fickle look on your face and stare off into the distance from time to time.
まるで全てのことに達観、いや、定観するように
With cold
冷めた目を。
with cold eyes, as if you're looking at everything philosophically. No, with resignation.
そうですか。
Is that right?
そんなこと。
That's not For a moment, I was about to deny Riku's concerns, but
へえ、
yes,
そうかも
は
しれませんね。
perhaps you are right. I smiled bitterly in self-deprecation when I found an epiphany in a corner of my mind.
私はこの地にたどり着いてあなたと出会うまで自分の死のことばかり考えていたような気がします。
Until I came to this land and met you, I feel like all I ever thought about was my death.
自分はどんな死に方をするんだろうと。
As in, how exactly would I die? I visited a lot of places over a long period of time. As I searched for many brethren in Griffiths and found myself in many life and death hunts, I unconsciously began to wonder what sort of death would eventually claim me.
リク、
Riku?
この地のあなたたちは年を経るうちに肉体は老い、精神は成熟してやがて死ぬのが自然だと思います。
I believe it is natural in this world for your kind's bodies to age as you grow old, mature mentally, and ultimately die.
ええ、それが
Yes, but what of it?
でも私たちはその逆なのです。
But it is the other way around for us.
肉体は変わらない代わりに精神は逆行してゆく。
In exchange for our bodies never aging, our minds retrogress. Our kind, who are known as high-order molecular life forms, did not physically age. This is because our lives were preserved not through cellular metabolism, but by the mutual interlocking and reconstitution of molecules. Science. On the other hand, our minds and thoughts grew simplified as a backlash to this optimization process. It was what was called retrogression, though it may be more accurate to call it infantilization. In accordance with that, orders sent to body systems necessary for keeping us alive start getting simplified or omitted, and as a result, our molecular bonds grow fragile and eventually collapse. That state is referred to as a free body, but in this land, it's probably easier to understand it by calling it a ghost. It's a state where we lose the ability to shift from astral bodies to our physical bodies. Once that happens, we become invisible to life forms, and those who possess physical bodies who lose their ability to see, speak, and touch us. And then we drift forever in some space, maintaining our primitive consciousness. However, according to what Ryu told me, there are rare exceptions where exceptions where it is possible to attempt to share abilities and memories by sympathizing with the life form that they are using as a medium. But unfortunately, there's no one to confirm that with, so it's impossible to know.
やめてください。
Please stop.
え？
Huh?
そんな話聞きたくないです。
I don't want to hear about any of that.
死は確かに私にも訪れること。
Death will come for me too someday. Make no mistake.
でも、あなたは生きている。
But you will live.
どんなものかもまだわからない羽生の死なんて考えたくもありません。
I do not want to think about what sort of death will be waiting for you.
いいえ、そうじゃないんです。リク。
No, no, you have it all wrong, Riku. I apologize for my insufficient explanation as I continued.
死は生あるものに等しく訪れるもので、その関係は表裏一体。
Death comes for all living things. There are two sides of the same coin.
でも私は片側だけを見すぎたせいで、その裏側にある尊さを忘れてしまっていた。
But because I'd seen too much of one side of that coin, I'd forgotten how sacred the other side was. I learned through living with Riku just how delightful it is to live with someone else. That is why I came to see the weight of death in a new light, and in exchange discovered what a virtue life is. That was why I wanted to protect it, why I didn't want to lose it. One could say that was how I, who had only been conscious of myself up until then, had discovered my heart. That was what I wanted to convey.
羽生。
Hanyu.
だから帰ってきます。絶対。
So, I swear I'll be back.
あなたが私の居場所なんですから。
Because you are my home. And with those words, I took off a necklace I'd been wearing and hung it around Riku's neck. A bright and transparent crystal hung from a cord not of this world, containing faint light within.
これは
What is this?
もしも留守中に何かがあったら、
If anything happens while I'm gone,
これであなたの声が私に届きます。
your voice can reach me through this.
きっとすぐにでも戻ってみせますから、万一の時は使ってください。
I'm sure I'll be back soon, but please, use this in an emergency. Though I said that, there was a higher probability of an emergency happening to me. Perhaps this crystal would become his memento of me. Stop. Don't think about any of that right now. This is it. This will mark my final mission as a Jita. So I swear I'll come back to Riku and Uuka.
リク
Riku,
何ですか？
what is it? Huh? I finally couldn't hold myself back. I wrapped my arms around Riku's shoulders, drew in close, and buried my face in his chest. Riku froze up in surprise for a moment, but it wasn't long before he gently embraced me.
羽生。
Hanyu,
冷たいと思わないで
don't think of me as cold.
私だって私だって
Even I.
分かっています。
Yes, I know.
だから待っていますよ。
That is why I'll wait for you.
いつまでもずっと。
Forever, if I have to. And then, I stayed in Riku's arms until dawn, feeling his warmth the whole time. A vast number of silent husks littered the earth. A smell like rusted iron enshrouded the air. Thick, cloudy liquids melded with the dirt to become mud, and even more juices from the bodies accumulated to form rivers. The moonlight illuminated the remains of pure pandemonium. It was a sight so merciless and gruesome that it was enough to make hell seem like paradise in comparison. Gwoo. Legs as thick as logs stomped with earth-rumbling growls. It crushed the guts spewing from the stomachs that had been split like pomegranates, and burst them open like the blooming of red flowers. There was a ceaseless wet sound like a gushing fountain. It was the sound of fresh blood sprouting from the neck of what had been the leader, kneeling motionless next to it. There was nothing above it as though it had been torn off. The faint piece of white that poked out from the stump stood out as it was dyed a dull, dark red. Two men slumped on the ground shrieked shrilly, clinging to their broken swords as they faced off against it. With no chance of escape, yet having lost the will to fight back, they shuddered at the presence of the death approaching them and shivered as they shot looks pleading for mercy at it. Fools. I guess that's gonna be my demon voice. A group of night bandits posing as demons had attacked and killed villagers. With the villagers having been completely evacuated, they had planned to raid the empty village and steal valuables. However, what they found waiting for them there was a real demon. Those ruffians were regretting and repenting for their actions over and over in the face of these reparations far too cruel for merely reaping what they sowed. But the humans of this land didn't have the power to turn back time, so all they could do was despair at the reality before them and loathe the majestic god who had established this casualty. The men, their teeth chattering out of sync, tried their best to scramble to their feet and get as far away from the monster as possible, even though their will to stand was shattered. They desperately looked around for help or an escape route, but their comrades had all been reduced to chunks of meat, and the roads were dead ends of abandoned houses and waterways. Yeah. The demon opened its red mouth as it bared its fangs and flung down to its arm on the man on the left with a roar. There was a dull thud and a faint scream, followed by the man with a massive gash gaping from his neck to his side. Blood splattered all over the man on the right, and he let out a half-crazed scream the moment he saw the red painting his body. But a second later, his face was grotesquely distorted, and his head soared through the air before crashing onto the ground. The monster's throat echoed with an ominous breath akin to a growl. The area was completely silent, not even the insects were singing. Only this demon wiggled in that dark world. Gwoo, gwoo. A roar that seemed to tear the air apart with all its force rang out, and the birds that were resting in the trees nearby fell to the ground, too frozen with unprecedented fear to fly away. The demon cruelly crushed them, taking step after step, as the sensation of further blood and corpses made its heart shake. It could hear them. The terrified screams of humans, voices calling for salvation, for forgiveness, praying to a god that wasn't even here. Unfortunately for it, the residents had already evacuated in fear of the bandits, leaving no more prey behind. However, fresh and juicy humans were huddled in fear in the settlement down the road, waiting for the nightmare to continue. What fools. Even if they hide, we can tell where they are by perceiving their presences alone. We weren't generous nor malicious enough to show tomorrow to these cowards who shivered in fear and holed themselves up without trying to carve their own paths. That's right. That's the difference between the hunters and the hunted. That was a just privilege permitted to us strong against the chosen weak. In contrast, these residents are miserable, pathetic little creatures, crawling on the ground with tears in their eyes, begging for forgiveness while waiting for the disaster to pass by. Tearing apart weaklings like those was no longer a hunt, but a one-sided slaughter. But at least they were useful for quenching our thirst. And we waited for the time when prey worthy of the title game arrived, one whom we could trade wits and all of our might with. For the appearance of they who would spark the flame of light in us and make us tremble with the joy of awakening our instincts. I had been waiting and hoping for that moment for a very long time. And this was the time where I would sever these abominable chains and take my fate into my own hands. They're close. I felt a presence. It seems that the bait had served their purpose as well, even if they were fools. I heard a metallic hum.
やはりか。
Just as I thought.
血は争えぬものだな。
You cannot fight blood, huh? I heard a clear voice as cold as ice behind me. The moment I turned around, she threw off her cloak and drew her sword, its tip gleaming as she pointed it at me. Oh, the wind howled. Amidst the dance of flaxen hair, the hood covering her head was blown off by the breeze, clearly revealing two horns faintly shining in the moonlight. And her red eyes that shone brightly even in the darkness cut through the night with a sharpness that clearly surpassed humans. Hide text box, right? I wanted to... Oh, wait. What's the, Isn't there... Isn't that so cool? That's a cool picture. Okay. And her eyes are shown brightly. Yeah. So, you are here, brethren. No. Now that you are a natural enemy, the Putis, those who had inherited the blood and soul of the Rune, who existed to hunt the Griffiths to teach them death, and my most formidable rival. The area was surrounded by fire, perhaps ignited by the flames of the bandits' torches. Scorching heat blowing through the air caressed my cheeks and blew my hair up. I'd known it was extremely likely that the culprit wasn't a demon. Because of their strong presence, demonified Rune detect nearby brethren and make their appearance known. Since even a Putis such as I hadn't sensed anyone, I was sure that it had been the work of miscreants not of this region who had made use of the curse's name. Even so, I let them run free to use them as bait. For demonified Griffiths to be lured by their moderate hostility and bloodlust. When that happened, that prey with blackened hearts would be overwhelmed by the sheer difference in power, be slayed when their souls were painted white with fear and powerlessness, and their guts lovingly eaten. There was no profound reason for it. Logical answer was that it was merely to make themselves known, and they kept seeking indiscriminate massacre to sate those shallow desires of theirs, and continue living off bloodshed and tragedy, which made this band of foolish bandits the perfect bait for demons. And there was one more thing. The reason they were trying so hard to make themselves known was because they sought a battle with us Putis. Griffiths bear hostility towards Putis from the moment their instincts awaken. Not due to any self-defense instincts or hatred of their own kind, but because they simply want a fight. Just like how I once pondered my own death, they too sought to discover the nature of death. And what they want isn't prey who'll go down without a fight, but an opponent with which they can battle to the death. In other words, our relationship isn't that of hunter and hunted. We are beings created by a bloody casualty where we are drawn to each other in search of our own reason for existing. It truly was extremely revolting. However, I could sense an impulse buried deep within me trembling with joy. Put another way, it was a stirring of the hunter blood sleeping in my instincts, greedily seething in search of prey.
血を争えぬは私も同じか。
Guess I can't fight blood either, huh? Right. Just like them, we Putis had also inherited hunter's blood. No one could stop me from immersing in that pleasure, and I had no intention of stopping here now anyway. A roar echoed out, truly a beast. When I saw this ugly, despicable creature, my reasoning and lenience as a human fizzed out without trace, At the same time, the urge to kill rapidly swelled within me.
丸3年
3 whole years.
指揮表の執行ギリギリまで潜んでいたのはお前が初めてだよ
You're the first one to remain in hiding until just before the marker wore off. I took a step forward. I watched the monster's actions carefully without letting my guard down a second, while slowly but surely closing the gap with my tiptoes. The faint moonlight illuminated the ugly, hairy muscles all over its arms and legs, as well as its sharp fangs and claws. It looked down on me with wide eyes burning like crimson flames as it spewed lukewarm breath from its mouth, split all the way to its ears. However, it had no horns. That was a feature of a demonified Griffiths.
皮肉だな
How ironic. Because I had horns that not even those monsters possessed, I was called a demon and not allowed to live as a human. And the Griffiths used these horns as a sign to bare their fangs and attack me. In other words, we were both demons with opposing intentions. Even so, I would lament no longer. I plan to finish this farce right here now. I would bring all this to an end now, for the people waiting for me, and for my future with him.
私を見ろグリフィス
Look at me, Griffiths! A moment later, 2 pairs of eyes shining scarlet like rubies in the darkness belonging to the demon who stood at twice my height, glaring down at me. The sky and the ground were inverted in the monster's widened eyes. It panted madly. The moment the demon gasped in fear and faltered, I kicked off the earth and lunged right towards its chest. Grr. The demon swung its thick arms down at me a moment later. Kept charging despite that, raised my sword the moment he invaded my space, leapt forward with one big step, and swung at him with the force of that momentum. Duh! Yep! Gush, bish. The demon's steel-like claws tore my right sleeve, but I dodged in the nick of time, sliced forward, and dug the tip of my sword into his side. Then I jumped off the back of the demon's hand, buried into the ground as I sliced him from hip to shoulder without the slightest hesitation. A blood splattered and the demon staggered back while letting out an agonized howl. Tore off my right sleeve as I caught my breath, waiting for the right moment to swiftly jump back. Then I looked at the demon. A deep straight cut was carved down his chest, gushing with blood. However, the demon suddenly roared as if shaking off something, and grotesquely colored flesh instantly started rising like bubbles from its wound. The blood then stopped, and the wound was sealed up in a twisted way.
再生機能もありか
So you can regenerate, huh?
完全に末期症状だな
You've already reached terminal symptoms. I was considering just taking him prisoner if he could be treated, even if it would be harder to do so, but it seemed like I didn't have much choice. There was no other way but to completely erase his existence.
聞け我が同胞の者よ
Listen, my brethren. I mentally apologized to Riku as I tore off my remaining left sleeve in one go and threw it away. Then I moved my left foot forward and stood with my sword at the ready as I quietly focused my mind on a single point.
故郷を捨て我が同族の象徴たる角を降りて新しき大地にて生を育まんとする者の末裔よ
O descendant of those who abandoned their homeland, broke the horns that symbolized our race and sought to live in a new land.
そなたに咎はなし我もまたそなたを罰するにあらず
You have committed no sin, and I possess no right to punish you.
なれど長老たちの掟を破りこの地の断りに背くことは我が同族の誇りを汚しこの地の同胞の思いを踏みにじる愚かしくも浅ましい行為なり
However, to break the laws of the elders and infringe on the principles... Let me try that again. However, to break the laws of the elders and infringe on the principles of this land is a foolish and shallow act that spits on the pride of my race and the feelings of our brethren in this land. And then... I slowly pointed my lighter left arm at the demon, pulled back my right elbow like I were drawing a bow, and held my sword at level. I placed the sword's bare tip on my left palm. Next, I ran the gleaming sword across my upper arm, gushing with blood from the fresh wound as I speckled my sword in crimson. Oh, they're getting so much mileage out of this CG. It was the Ture Galkia pose, the twin earth pose. A refined one-hit kill thrust technique used to compensate for the disparity in physical strength and stamina against a demonified Griffiths, which could deal fatal blows even when weakened. The Ryu is normally a single-edged sword, but it changes shape when you cast the incantation, and branching blades thrust out from the left and right to cut through the body's internal tissue. Thus, with just a single stab, it severs the heart's 4 blood vessels and sends a putous blood into their vitals, which is lethal poison to a Griffiths, destroying their body from the inside out. I've slain many of my race with this technique.
最後に問う。
I'll ask you once more.
お前の選ぶは明日か今か
Do you choose the future, present,
それとも忌まわしき過去か
or the inauspicious past? Roar. The demon roared and started charging at me in lieu of an answer.
ならば死ね
Then die.
お前に明日は渡さない
There'll be no future for you. I lowered my hips at the same time, as if lying in wait. Then, using the open gap between 2 of his left fingers as my target, I located his heart and organs, and filled my right hand with strength. The demon closed the gap between us with an earth-shattering tremor, raising his gleaming claws. The air shook, and even time froze from his overwhelming bloodlust and destructive impulses. But on the other hand, I cleared and honed my mind, felt my enemy's blood and mind converging on a single point, and saw it clearly. This thrust would put an end to it all. I took a breath in and out. The moment my attention left with my breath, I put all my strength in the tip of my sword and thrust right at the demon's vitals. Ta. Just then, I hesitated. My thrust went off course and missed the target, merely slicing through the air. That was my strongest and sole technique that I'd never missed with once. The price for missing was leaving myself wide open. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. The demon's slightly delayed strike hit true. I was knocked a short distance away. Ow. I was too stunned by the unexpected turn of events to brace myself, so I couldn't breathe for a second after hitting the ground. I coughed violently as I held my side and stood up. Since it was his arm, not claw, that hit me, I'd avoided bleeding, but I still nearly passed out from the splitting pain, though I grit my teeth to endure it. No, that sort of pain no longer mattered. I lifted my head. I looked at the demon's chest while praying that I was mistaken about what I'd glimpsed for an instant. Only a mere instant. It can't be. The clouds parted that moment, illuminating the area with moonlight, and then... Why? I saw it clearly with my eyes adjusted to the light. That's the necklace I gave Riku when I left. Oh! Oh. Why? It didn't take much thought to picture what had happened. If he'd picked up from somewhere that the true identity of the fabled demon was actually some passing bandits, he'd likely go to collect evidence of that to prove my innocence. But he failed, and they attacked him to silence him. Then what if, at that time, in order to survive, in order to fight, he'd awakened to his demonified instincts that lay dormant in the people of this land? Oh no. Oh no. My teeth chattered, and my vision narrowed as if it were growing distant. It couldn't be. This had to be a nightmare. I admit that when Riku and I met, we were first attracted to each other. I suspected the possibility that the reason we could be so open with each other might have something to do with my brethren's factor. That was why I'd had him take that medicine so often it even made him suspicious and checked his blood each time. The result was always negative. It's true that as a resident of this land, he may have possessed something latent similar to the Griffiths factor, but it wasn't enough to make him go berserk or mutate. Besides, I spent so much time with him, yet I noticed absolutely nothing. I never felt that, not even during the countless times we'd slept in our bedroom. Not once. As a result, I was relieved I didn't consider him a target I needed to keep my eye on. So why? The demon took advantage of my confusion to instantly close the gap and attack. Then he swung his arm with all his might and thrust at me with his tearing claws. I instinctively raised my sword and managed to parry the blow just in the nick of time. But that parry left me off guard for just a second, giving the demon time to roundhouse kick me in the side. Thanks to our difference in physique working in his favor, I violently slammed into the ground and rolled across it. I desperately got up, but the shock of that head-on attack still lingered, and I immediately fell limply to my knees. What's more, I dropped my sword when I got blown away, and now the demon had grabbed it and was pointing its sharp edge my way. I instinctively gasped from the danger of the situation, but I never took my eyes off the demon, catching my breath to match its every move. He seemed confident in his victory now that he'd taken my only weapon, but on the other hand, carrying an unfamiliar object only hindered his own movements. I suddenly noticed an odd sensation on top of my tongue. What I thought was some gravel I'd gotten in my mouth when I rolled across the ground was actually my tooth. Oh. I finally realized I was bleeding from the mouth. A fishy stench rose from inside my throat. That sensation slowly but surely calmed my instincts. Don't panic. Don't be afraid. If you keep your mind calm, the tide of battle will flow in your favor. And the moment I suddenly remembered those words someone from my homeland had told me. Here he comes. The demon held my sword in both hands and swung it down as if he were trying to slice my skull open. I stared straight down at its uneven trajectory and caught the blade between my palms the moment it was a hair's breadth away from my forehead. Though I'd stopped it, the demon filled the sword with more strength. Every time the tip of the blade slid down my palms and pierced my skin, blood from the wound trickling down the sword. The blood passed through the sword's guard. It oozed out from the handle and stained the demon's hands, burning him. A disgusting stench emanated, like acid searing flesh, and white steam blew from the demon's hands. He immediately let go of the unexpected pain. He let go at the unexpected pain, and I seized the chance to back off and spit the tooth in my mouth right at the demon's eye. The surprise attack hit him right in the eye, causing him to partially rotate the sword from the recoil, allowing me the opportunity to grab the handle. Then I flashed the blade using the recoil for my twisted upper half, and sliced through his breastplate with a reverse shoulder slash. The demon screamed loud enough to tear his throat apart, held its wound, and backed off. As the sword had Putus blood on it, steam rose from the wound as it burned, then chunks of flesh rotted away and fell to the ground with a charred stench. I panted and caught my breath as the demon glared at me with hatred. My whole body was covered in sweat, mud, and blood. It was almost at its limit, but the confusion left my mind, and my bewilderment changed to intense hatred, and I seethed. I know what you are. That's right. Despite being a Griffiths, it had stolen my sword, attacked orderly and consistently, possessed unusual intelligence. I gasped when I finally realized what it was, and grit my teeth when I understood what had been feeling so off for a while now. You're that Putus from back then, aren't you? Right. This presence, this sensation, there's no doubt about it. Though it was extremely rare, it was possible for a Putus who'd lost their original physical body to keep living on as a free body. And afterwards, it was possible for it to possess a different body, a human, and live on like a Griffiths. He was a Putus who'd abandoned being a Putus and had obtained power greater than a Griffiths, in other words, a true demon. That's right. And then... I am a former Putus, just like you, the one who you slayed over 20 years ago. A repulsive smile rose to his ugly face as he laughed. Why? Why did you possess Riku? Why did you get him caught up in all this when there was no benefit to you and he was completely unrelated to begin with? No, the bigger question was, why had a Putus demonified just like a Griffiths and attacked villagers and natives? What reason did he have for not only abandoning our original goal of observing Griffiths and stopping any who went berserk, but doing the very thing we had sworn to stop?
飽きたの
I grew tired of it. What?
だ。果てしなく続く任務の日々と、買っても買っても絶えぬグリフィスたち。
I faced endlessly continuing days of missions, and Griffiths who never went extinct no matter how many I hunted.
生命を賭した殺し合いに興奮を覚え、血と肉の匂いに酔いしれることができた頃はまだ良かった。
I was still fine back when I felt excited to fight to the death and could get intoxicated off the smell of flesh and blood.
だが、グリフィスは力も知能も我らに劣って、あまりにも張り合いがないものだった。
But with the Griffiths being mentally and physically inferior to us, it was hardly a contest.
故に私は、私の力に匹敵する相手を欲したのだ。
Thus, I desired an opponent who could match my strength.
同じピュトゥスと雌雄を争い、その戦いによって今まで感じたことのない興奮と優越を味わう。
To fight Putus, men and women alike, to savor excitement and pleasure I'd never felt before in those battles.
もっとも、完全に能力を発動させる前に、同胞最強と謳われたお前が真っ先に現れたせいで、思わぬ遅れを取ってしまったが。
Though I was unexpectedly delayed because you, hailed as the strongest of our brethren, waited straight for me before my powers had fully manifested.
しかし、能力の発動が完全であれば、明らかに私が勝っていたはず。
But if my abilities had fully awakened, I clearly should have won.
その証明を立てるため、そして一度貴様から受けた屈辱を晴らすため、私はよりしろを求めた。
To prove that, and to rid myself of the humiliation I'd suffered at your hands, I sought a host.
そして貴様から受けた傷が癒え、有利体としての移動の力を手に入れた3年前、私はこの村で発見したのだ。
Then I recovered from the wounds you gave me and gained the power to move as a free body 3 years ago, and discovered this village.
貴様が剣を向ける際、最も貴様が苦しみ、怒り、絶望して、私のかつての恨みと憎しみを晴らしてくれる対象を。
I desired a host. I would bring you the most anguish, rage, and despair when you pointed your sword at it, and who would quell my grudge and my hatred.
それが、
And that was...
あの時貴様が救い出し、そして貴様が愛したこの男だ。
this man you saved back then, and fell in love with.
いえ、
What was that? I shivered. My whole body violently trembled from head to toe, and I could stop it? I think that's probably supposed to be and I couldn't stop it. That would make more sense. I remembered. I could clearly remember now. He was definitely that scum who'd gotten Griffiths involved in violence along with staining his own hands in slaughter, the one who nearly destroyed Onikafuchi village. I thought I defeated him for sure back then, but he kept on living as a free body even after losing his flesh, maintained by his hatred and grudge that desired to defeat me. And, in the end, he'd gotten Riku caught up in this for his twisted pleasure, all for that stupid reason.
サシモの貴様も自分の思い人の肉体に刃を向けるのは気持ちが鈍ろうて。
Even you, of all people, will falter at the prospect of pointing a blade at the man you love.
どうだ、同種狩りの女よ。その太刀で我を倒せようか。されど我を殺せば、こやつも死ぬがな。
How about it, Kinslayer? Will you attempt to defeat me with that sword? After all, if you kill me, he dies too. You... kill him? He who had nothing to do with this? He was a truly kind soul, who had shown me my greatest happiness. He was the most important beloved person in my life, and I'd have to kill him? You bastard! Unable to hold back my surge of rage, I kicked off the ground with a blood-curdling scream, erased all the pain in my body from my mind, and slashed at the scum before me. My wild swings were easy to dodge and cut nothing but air multiple times, but my rage demanded his flesh and blood, so I kept up the assault. I'll kill you. I'll kill you, I'll kill you! How dare you? How dare you do that to my Riku?
憎め、もっと憎むがいい。それこそが我の安らぎ、正しき運命を奪い取った。我の勝利を祝う、ことほぎの言葉だ。
Ah, yes, more, hate me more, that is my peace. The words of congratulation that celebrate my victory in taking my rightful fate. Ha 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 ha. I'll kill you. I'll kill you. I'll kill you, I'll kill you, I'll kill you, I'll kill you! I swear, you won't get away with this! And then... I swung, slashed, thrust, and rotated my sword at the demon as though I'd lost my mind. But in contrast to my raging emotions, my body was rapidly exhausting, slowing my actions. They were so unsightly and pitiful that I couldn't tell if they were even attacks anymore, or mere child's play. The demon swung at my neck right then. I quickly parried with my sword, but it was blown away by the unavoidable gale, and stuck itself into the ground by a tree not too far from me. I rose my upper body and started to get up, only for my knees to collapse on the spot. I desperately mustered my willpower and looked up, to find the mocking smile of the demon looking down at me. I couldn't move anymore. I couldn't stand. I couldn't fight fate, even if it had been cruelly twisted. Oh, I see. This could be my death. I'd constantly wondered when and how I'd meet my end, and it had finally come for me. And if I died here, would my physical body be destroyed, reducing me to a free body just like this demon, or would I simply be destroyed altogether? Either way, I no longer had any way out, and now that I'd lost my place to return, I no longer had the strength to stand. Really? Is this really the end I wanted? And above all else, does he want to die here with me? Die, Putus woman. The wheels of fate are mine to command as I will. The demon said that, and slowly raised his arm. When I looked up at that, I faintly noticed something out of the corner of my eye. It was the necklace's red jewel shining in the moonlight. There was a dull, metallic thud. The earth cracked, and there was a war cry loud enough to split the sky. The insects and forest creatures who had forgotten to even make a sound timidly poked their heads out from the leaves to see the outcome of the confrontation. The demon's strike had charged forward to crush and destroy my body and soul. It was to be the finishing blow on an opponent at death's door. But right before it could hit, I stopped that claw with my blade. You're wrong. I endured the pain in my creaking body and pushed back the demon's arm, mere centimeters away from me. You. No, the person you become has a home to return to. No matter what happens, please do not forget that under any circumstances, if nothing else. Please stop.
聞きたくないです。
I don't want to hear about any of that.
羽生の死なんてそんな。
Not about what kind of death will be waiting for you. Riku's words from back then played back in my mind. They made me happy, so I knew what I had to do. Screw fate. My own death? Don't screw with me. There's only one thing I believe in this world, so I just have to believe in that.
リクはそんなことを望まない。
Riku would never want that.
私の死よりも生きることを願う。
He'd wish for me to live, not die.
それが私の愛したフルでリクの心だ。
That's the essence of the Riku Furude I loved.
貴様。
Damn you.
死ぬものか。
Like hell I'll die.
リクとの約束を破ってなんで貴様に屈するものか。
Like hell I'll break my promise to Riku and submit to you.
何をよまいごと。この死に損ないが。
What nonsense is that? Why won't you just die?
笑わせるな。
Don't make me laugh.
死に損ないは貴様の方だ。
You're the one who refuses to die. Whoa, we got a new pose. What? A splash of blood danced through the air. The demon screamed in agony as he covered his eyes and threw his head back. Vast blood poured out from between his fingers, and he stumbled around helplessly in intense pain as he lost his sight. I swiped the blood off the claw sticking out of my left fingers and bared the giant fangs pouring out of my mouth. Then, I glared at him with red eyes lighter than scarlet.
盗賊の爪が貴様だけのものと思うなよ、ゲロウが。
Don't you go thinking that the clan's claws are yours alone. Filth!
貴様。まさか貴様まで鬼かを。
Ew! Impossible! Have you demonified as well? I turned to the stunned demon and flashed him a cruel smile. The claw blades. A demon's power that was unconsciously invoked by rage and bloodlust. I could obtain power greater than demonified member of my clan by fully unleashing it, but since it would destroy my sense of reason if I used it too long, it truly was a double-edged sword. Fortunately, the demon couldn't see it with his eyes crushed. No, perhaps he was unlucky. For if he could see this face, he'd have reached the horrifying realization that I wasn't some opponent to be taken lightly.
くらいはせぬ。
Oh, she's so cool. I won't eat you.
だが貴様は絶対に許さない。
But I will never forgive you.
自らの浅知恵と卑劣を顧みることのできぬ愚かさを嘆いて死ね。出来損ない。
Curse your shallowness and inability to reflect on your cowardice as you die. Failure! I then retracted my claw blades, took my sword and thrust it in my left hand, then faced the demon with one foot forward. I ran the blade up my left arm and donned the Ture Galkia stance. The demon miserably swung his arms, perhaps having sensed that, desperately trying to escape from the danger, but his claws cut through nothing but air. Not even their lingering gales reached me. No, nothing reached me anymore. No sounds, no presences. I simply stood with my sword at the ready in a dark, quiet void.
ごめんなさい、リク。
I'm sorry, Riku. I couldn't save you. I can't smile, get mad, or spend time with you ever again. That thought alone caused me to burst into tears, with no signs of stopping. But please understand, at least you, if no one else. What I can do now, and what you'd surely wish for, is for me to simply believe in that, and kill you. Perhaps I'm simply deluding myself. If I'm wrong, then I'll regret my foolishness and injustice for the rest of my life, and may very well never smile again. Even so, it's fine. I will now become a demon. Then I will burden myself with all the sins and live as a wrathful god, and will be a target for all fear and hatred, till the moment my life comes to an end.
こうなったらこの体を捨て違うよりしろについて貴様を。
Damn you. If it's come to this, then I'll just abandon this body, possess a new host, and take you to... Whoa! That moment. Gwar, gwar. The demon suddenly stood up with a roar and faced me head on. I instinctively braced myself, but he bent his arms that were broken like toys, grabbed the necklace hanging by his chest and tore it off, and trembled as he held it out to me. It can't be.
なぜだなぜこの体から乖離できない話せ貴様
Oh no, is it Riku fighting back? Why? Why can't I separate from this body? Let me go, you bastard!
大丈夫ですよ。羽生。
Ah, it's just like Kingdom Hearts. I haven't said that in a while. It's just like that one time spoiler redacted for spoiler in Kingdom Hearts. It's alright, Hanyu. In my mind, I heard the faint echo of the voice of the man I loved with all my heart. It was that kind, gentle voice, that clear voice that would always warm my heart just by hearing it. His voice. I'd resigned myself to never hearing it again. I believed his soul to have ground to dust when the Putus took over his body and grieved. But Riku was calling out to me at the very end. All for me, to bring my heart back from despair. Riku! Riku!
誰が何と呼ぼうとも。
No matter what anyone calls you,
あなたは私の大切な羽生です。
you are my beloved Hanyu.
それだけは忘れない。
Never forget that.
絶対に。どんなことがあっても忘れない。
Never forget that. No matter what happens, make sure you never forget that. His kind words tore my heart to shreds. Just when I thought I had no more tears to shed, even more welled out of me, restoring patches of light to the world that had been stained black. If this were any other time, if we were at Furude's shrine and Riku said those words with a smile, just like always, I would have puffed my cheeks with a hint of embarrassment and headbutted him in the chest. Then he would gently wrap his arms around me, and I could lean on him, closing my eyes and giving myself into peace of mind.
そんな世界があったんだ。
There was a world like that.
ほんの少し、すぐにでも思い出せるほど近くの時間に本当にあったんだ。
We really did that, in a time so recent I can remember it like it was yesterday. My shout was empty. That memory was just sad. It brought tears and pain to my body and heart. My throat and chest burned in pain as if they'd been gouged out. I swear that no matter what happens, I will never, ever forget this pain and suffering. Never. Never.
リク、大好きだった。
Riku, I loved you.
本当に世界で誰よりもあなたを愛していた。
I truly loved you more than anyone in the world. And then, I swallowed my tears, took a breath, pointed my gleaming sword tip at his heart.
さよなら、リク。
Farewell, Riku. I thought I could hear a happy tone in Riku's voice when I muttered that. I focused all my thoughts on a single point, mustered the last of my strength, and kicked off the ground. My brain, I don't know where it's at, but when I read this line, I swallowed my tears, I took a breath. I thought of Legend of Zelda, Breath of the Wild, and Legend of Zelda, Tears of the Kingdom. I don't know why my brain made me... Okay. I focused all my thoughts on a single point, mustered the last of my strength, and kicked off the ground.
やめろ
Stop! Hanyu,
桜花のこと頼みます。
take care of Uka.
竜王、錦、三叉解放。
Ryu, Type 2, Triple Prong Release! Man, what a bummer. What a fucking bummer, dude. Spring. The freshly fallen cherry blossoms dyed the swept stone staircase pink as if it had come to life. The cleanness and glamour of it all cheered me up a little as I ascended the stairs. I looked up to find the cherry blossoms in full bloom. It had a dim, beautiful pattern similar to a weeping willow tree, and the sweet smell was very refreshing. I allowed myself to be taken in by the nostalgic scenery as I slowly marched down the shrine grounds and savored the clean air. Suddenly, I looked at the shrine standing tall at the edge of the grounds. The villagers must have courteously maintained that building so old you could feel the history off of it. Though it was weathered, it also had a fine, subtle air to it. It had been 10 years since that day. Oh, massive time jump. 10 years. Once the sun dawned on that nightmare of a night, the villagers gathered weapons, formed a cabal, and went to Onikafuji Swamp. It was there that they found... Oh no, hiccups. It was there that they found a vast number of bandits' corpses, the body of Riku, who was collapsed as though he died opposing them, and the torn remains of a Miko outfit.
No.
What?
これはまさか
Could this be? When they witnessed the tragedy, they recalled how they'd suspected the Furude Shrine priest's wife of being a demon the other day, and were shocked. Their own suspicions had driven the Furudes into a corner, and so the two of them had fought a group of passing bandits posing as demons in order to prove their innocence, only to lose their lives. Riku? Hanyu? Why? Why? When she came running after hearing the news, Shino clung to the corpse and broke down sobbing. Afterwards, the village conducted a search for Riku's wife. However, it was said her blood and footprints came to an abrupt end at a cliff overlooking a river. The villagers concluded that she had likely fallen from there with a bandit. Shino's despair deepened when she learned of that, and she wailed in ways that those who knew her stout-hearted nature had never seen from her before. Riku, Hanyu, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. If only I'd fought harder on your behalf. If only I made a better case to win the others over for you. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
わしらあの二人になんてことを
What have we done?
すまんことをしてしまったわしらのせいじゃ
Something we can never take back, and it's all our fault. When they saw that, the villagers learned their needless doubts had killed the two of them, and deeply regretted their own mistakes. Perhaps to atone for that, the couple's orphaned daughter, Ouka, was taken care of as the daughter of the village's saviors, and under the guardianship of the Kimiyoshi family, spearheaded by Shino, and the Sonozaki family, village officials, she was raised carefully so she could run the Furude Shrine on her own once she became of age. All I could do was watch over all of that. After my battle with the demon, I had lost most of my ability to sustain a physical body. Though I wasn't quite a free body, it was difficult to maintain a body that could be seen even by the people of this land, and so naturally, I was treated as though I'd gone missing. Perhaps there was a mental aspect to it as well. It was likely that if I pushed myself without having fully recovered, there was a risk of my body going berserk. So I wished for Uka's happiness as I went over to the mainland, underwent treatment at the remaining Lionoses while fighting groups called demons, or humans posing as them. I won't speak of how much blood was shed. Even so, as long as there were evildoers out there, more tragedies like Riku's could happen again. It was with that thought I used as much strength and time as I had left to nip those disasters in the bud and wander various countries. Wander.
なんだ私も罪滅ぼしか
Ah, so this is my atonement, huh? I smiled when that thought came to me. I suddenly looked up, saw the cherry blossom tree Riku and I used to watch, quietly walked over to it, and gently caressed the bark.
桜が咲いていますよ、リク。
The cherry blossoms are blooming, Riku.
あなたがいなくなっても、今年もまた。
Once again, even though you're gone. I recalled when Riku and I discussed Michizane's poem. Oh boy.
すっかり春です
Butchering
ね
that word probably, sorry. It truly is spring now, huh?
ええ、
Yes. Hey, Riku.
ひょっとして私の中にもあなた方の同胞の魂魄が眠っているのでしょうか。
Could I possibly have the spirits of one of those brethren dwelling within me?
大丈夫ですよ、リク。
It's alright, Riku.
今のあなたは、あなた本来の魂魄によるものです。
Your soul is yours and yours alone, and always has been. If there really is a heaven.
私はあなたが好きです。
I love you.
私もきっと、あなたのこと、好きなんだと思います。
I'm sure I love you too.
だから、
That's exactly why
今の冗談が許せない。
I can't forgive this joke. Then perhaps these trees keep blossoming every year to let me know you're doing well.
これからはもう少し改めます。
I'll reflect on that from now on.
だから返事をもらえますか。
So, could you give me your answer?
後悔するのに。
You're going to regret this.
なんで私はこんな人を愛して。
So why? Why do I love someone like this? Just like I keep living on with my feelings and memories of you.
リク、ちょっとだけ泣きますね。
Riku, I'm going to cry just a little, okay? It's strange. Up until just a little while ago, the mere thought of Riku was enough to make me sob uncontrollably. Yet now, I don't even cry, unless I taint our happiest memories with sorrow like this. Is that because I've grown strong? Or am I simply growing numb to it? Even I'm not sure. Even so, my feelings for Riku live in my heart as strong as ever, never fading. The flow of time has become so distant to me that I can't remember the days I spent with him as though they were only yesterday.
リク、
Riku. Would I have been better off never meeting Riku? Had I not fallen for and married him, could I have avoided feeling this way? Not once had I ever felt any regrets like that. I truly was glad I'd met Riku, because there was no mistaking that was the one who gave me and showed me the way to live as myself. When I muttered that, a pink petal gently danced onto my shoulder. The way it smelled as sweet as it had back then drew a smile from me. Russell. Me? Just then, I slowly turned around when I sensed footsteps behind me, only to follow that up with a bitter smile. What was I even doing? It wasn't like anyone could see me. However... Who are you? Huh? Me? When I finished turning around, I found a wide-eyed little girl standing there. She cocked her head as she smiled innocently and looked at me. That face, that gaze, I remembered them well. There was no way I could ever forget.
見えるのですか？
You can see?
私を？
You can see me?
はいなのです。
Yes.
お父さんの木に何かご用なのですか？
Do you have some business on my father's tree? When I heard that, I stared at the brightly smiling little girl as I desperately held back the feelings threatening to burst forth, took a breath, and smiled back at her. She blinked in surprise for a moment, then smiled cheerfully as though she'd rebounded and gave a hearty leap.
はじめましてですね。
It is a pleasure to meet you.
私はあなたたちがお社様と呼ぶこの神社の守り神です。
I am what your people refer to as Oyashiro-sama, the guardian deity of the shrine.
あなたは？
And you are?
オーカなのです。
I'm Oka.
フルでオーカなのですよ。
Oka. Oh, I ruined it. I talked over it. Fuck.
オーカなのです。フルでオーカなのですよ。ニパ
I'm Oka. Oka Furude. Nipah. Full chest. Had to do it. And thus my frozen time began to slowly move again. Yay. That's not the end though, right? There's no way. I think though we will take that opportunity to call it a night here. I've been struggling to breathe all night. Oh, 10 years later. 10 years later, another 10-year jump? Is that what that was describing? That's crazy. All right. So, as I've been saying, tomorrow, Wednesday, during the day probably we'll start. Maybe like early afternoon. We'll do a day stream tomorrow for Wednesday. And hopefully get a good size stream in. Because that will be the last stream of the week. Well, we'll be back Saturday. I guess it depends on if you count Saturday as the day of this week, right? But yeah, tomorrow will be the last day. No streams Thursday or Friday. I don't know exactly what we'll play. We'll kind of see what I feel like once I wake up and all. But I'm kind of thinking, especially to keep pace and all, I might read like another section of Higurashi of this first. And then kind of go from there into something else. I just don't know what that other thing will be. And of course, it's all subject to change overnight. But yeah, just so that we can make sure we're, you know, finishing Higurashi basically over the next week or so. I think it would be beneficial to read a little section. So that'll most likely be what we start with tomorrow. So even more Higurashi reading. And then we'll go from that to probably either Ghostwire Tokyo or finish up Sucker for Love maybe, or maybe both. Who knows? We'll kind of, like I said, kind of see what we're feeling like tomorrow. So last stream of the week, we'll make it bigger, like I said, hopefully start like mid-afternoon and then kind of go from there. So thanks for watching, thanks for reading with me, listening to me. Higurashi almost done. Hope everyone's excited. Can't wait for me to get all sappy on the last Higurashi stream, right? And I know everyone is looking forward to my Higurashi character tier list. Definitely gonna be a thing. All right, I'm gonna head out. I'm gonna try passing out early. With me taking off tomorrow off work, one of my main reasons is so I can sleep and get like catch up on sleep, because I've been neglecting the amount of sleep over the last couple weeks. Unfortunately. Bad habit of mine. My chair, I swear, is making too much noise. I think the chair makes noises once it's about to die, right? Is that how it works? It's about to die, probably. Alright. Until tomorrow afternoon. Maybe like 15 hours from now. Until then.